Hey, we're at Thumpstar again, and this parts information video is just on frames. We only have a couple of frames here to show you. There is another couple of frames from other models that we don't have, but the one you can see here is the TSX88 and TSR88 Pro frame, also used on the TSB 70. The next one here is for the TSX125 LE. So yeah, we're going to give you some information and measurements and tell you which frames are used for what. So first of all, we'll start with our smaller bike frame. This one's very similar to a Honda CRF50. The size and everything about it's a lot smaller than the TSX LE125 frame. So the one thing we've done to this frame to make it stronger is we put a brace through the bottom here, where the previous, on the older models frame, the guys would do jumps and they'd actually bend it in the head tube. So then we've put this brace through and it's made it a lot stronger, and since then we haven't had too many problems. And yeah, we have the guys doing backflips and all kinds of crazy stunts on the TSR88 Pro, so seems to be handling it. So yeah, we'll give you a few measurements. So it uses the standard universal CRF50 engine mount, which, as you can see, the eye to eye is about 15.5 centimeters, and this is the same right throughout from our 50cc motors up to the 190s. So it's quite cool. You can kind of swap all the motors between each other. Sometimes on the frames the mounts can vary a little bit, so you might need to drill it out a little bit to make a different motor fit. But yeah, generally you can make them all fit pretty easily. The next important measurement on this frame is this is the same as the Honda CRF50, is just where your swing arm mounts onto the frame, and as you can see there, it's about 122 millimeters. So yeah, that can vary a tiny bit, like between a few mils depending on the frames, but generally you can put a Honda CRF50 swing arm onto this and it will bolt up without too many problems. So if you want to upgrade it to a 5.0 or Sano swing arm, you can actually do it, which is quite cool. The next thing on this frame we'll show you is just the head tube here. So as you can see there, it's 40 millimeters, and that's the same top and bottom. So if you're buying bearings or want to replace it, just make sure that it's going to fit the 40 mil diameter. Next one we'll give you is the actual tube length, which is 13.5 centimeters. So yeah, if you're buying clamps or whatever, you just make sure it's all going to fit up nice. And yeah, last thing probably say about this frame is, yeah, you can fit your CRF50 tank, which is a universal tank which should bolt straight on, and plastics and seat and everything. So yeah, it's quite a good frame because you can definitely do a few changes and make it look however you want. So the next frame we'll talk about is the TSX125 LE frame. This frame's you've been around for a long time as well, and the thing to note is it has the cradle on it, where the previous frame doesn't have a cradle. So what this actually does is it supports the motor when you do a jump. So the foot pegs, the pressure from the foot pegs actually goes through the frame rather than the engine casing, which is definitely a better design. But even on the previous frame, as long as your engine mounts are nice and tight, you shouldn't have too much of a problem, because generally loose engine mounts that will cause a cracked casing from doing a jump. So yeah, just always make sure your engine mounts are nice and tight. Use a bit of Loctite and just keep an eye on it. And as you'll see, it actually has a removable engine mount. And this purpose for this is to make it easy for the engine to fit into the frame, because with the cradle it just makes it a wee bit more difficult. And as you can see, it uses the universal CRF50 mount, so the same again, all the, from the 50cc to 190s will fit this. As you can see, it's about 15. It's a bit harder this one, 15.5 eye to eye. Yeah, we'll just give you a couple more measurements. Just to see the same here, it's about 13 centimeters, so that's where your swing arm goes through. which is the same as the previous frame, but the only thing is this frame actually fits the mono swing arm, not the triangle cantilever swing arm, so it is a little bit different. You can even tell by the shock mount here. See, it's a lot longer, where the previous ones are mounted back a lot further. We'll give you the measurement of the head tube here. So it's actually slightly bigger, it's actually 43 millimeters, and that's the same top and bottom. So just be aware when you do the bearings, because it is actually a little bit bigger than the other frame, so it is different. Also, the head tube's longer. The head tube is about 16.5 centimeters. So yeah, same again, just be aware if you're buying different parts for it. Last of all is just the subframe here. This is a removable subframe, so which is quite a good idea. If you crash and bend your subframe, you can easily buy a new one without replacing your frame or having to take the bike to an engineer. So makes it a lot more simple. So we're hoping to put some of these designs onto the TSB 70, TSX 88 frame we showed you before, just to make it just to make it a lot better. But that might be in the next year's models. Hopefully, we might have some of those upgrades done. And yeah, that's probably about it on these frames. Hope to help you guys out, and if you have any more questions on them, just flick us an email at support@thumpstar.com.au.